Good morning. So I'm making this video for the folks at Waltham Forest. I made an earlier one last week for your colleagues at Brent, just to discuss some of the material that when I came in to see you. I think it was Monday week. So let's just go through this. This is really to do with your evidence-based portfolios that we're trying to build. Now, just a quick overview so you understand where I'm trying to get to. A quick summary of what I sort of said last time, but nothing, I'm going to go through it again, but very quickly, was that you have, as well as your exams, you sort of satisfy the criteria of knowledge, with your exams. But as well, you also have to satisfy the criteria of skills and behaviors. And there's certain criteria within skills and behaviors we need to make sure that you're comfortable with. But we also want to see growth within these areas of skills and behaviors. So right across every single skill, we will break ours up into 5 levels initially and see how we go. And once we break that up into 5 levels, if you like, level 1 being a sort of basic understanding, to level 5, which is more an advanced sort of expression of the skill and the behavior. Likewise, we will have documented and evidenced for our assessors when we arrive at the endpoint assessment at the end of your apprenticeship. Okay, great. So what I'll do very quickly, first of all, is to take you to the sheet that actually has the skills. I mean, this I will send to you via email, to all of you, and to your mentor. Here we have, if you like I said, we have a range of, I'll come down here very quickly. You can see all the skills are over here that you need to be comfortable with, and these are behaviors. And what you have to do is evidence via these questions that are presented to you to show that you have understood analysis, communication. You can exhibit, if you like, these skills: communication, leadership, planning, quality, teamwork, and systems. And we discussed, if you like, we tapped into some of this when we spoke last week, Monday. So I'm going to just give you a couple of examples, really. That's what I'm aiming to do. So you have something of record, you have something you can refer to, and you can start building this as we go along. So this is analysis, and this is how the sheet will come in. I'll talk about how we keep this information later on. You have this, these questions that sort of direct you and give you a template in order to be able to produce evidence. Producing useful information from raw data, evaluating the data which has been researched, and adding value to your organization. So this is us trying to satisfy the very first skill of analysis. So let's go back to our sheet here. I remember speaking to you, and at Waltham Forest, you seem to be on a sort of 6-month rotation, right? So if you're on a 6-month rotation, what we want to be able to try and do is to I think it'd be great if we can analyze every single skill within a 6-month rotation. You might not have the opportunity to do that. It doesn't matter. The key point is that it's all still about growth. So at level 1, sticking to this idea first, at level 1, it says produce useful information from raw data. Really, it's really a case of being able to bring, if you like, together pieces of information using Excel or whatever the software is doing. Right, or whatever software, forgive me, that you're using, just to bring that information into some kind of list. Basically, I'm really asking you to create a useful list that you can go on and use. So, I remember, I think it was Jamal I was talking to, who said that he was doing some work with the schools and trying to find out whether or not they had sent through their orders for I think it was a school meals or something along those lines. But the key point is that school list is a list in itself. So you might have had to dig it up from a database, which is fine. You can use a query to compile the list. But for me, at level 1, the process of bringing that list together is, if you like, right. So again, any sample, anywhere we can get a sample and sort of bring that sample together is a good level 1 analysis. Also, Luke talked about reconciling some data. I don't remember if it was to do with salaries, but the key point really is that initially you must even do any reconciling, you must have data on both sides. You must have two sets of data that we are trying to sort of see if they connect. Even the collection of that data within its period is enough, first of all. And that in itself shows that we actually have some data to actually work with. So that's kind of that very first initial bit about analysis. Now, of course, the next question is, now that we have the data, what are we going to do with it? So let's go first of all back to Jamal's scenario where he's taken this school list. Well, he's checking something with this school list. So he has his list of A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. He has a list of schools and he's going through a checklist or something. Something must be happening with that list. That's why you've put that list together, right? And the process of you doing that with that list is, if you like, enough at level 1 for evaluating the data. So we're bringing some meaning to this data. And again, whether or not you're ticking to confirm and deciding whether to chase them up and finding out what the next stage will be, that's enough. And we need a snapshot. Yes, a snapshot of that. Again, if you're reconciling, the very process of reconciliation is evaluating the data. So you'll reconcile that data. You've confirmed that what's on one list is what's on the computer, or what's on one computer is what's on the other computer, or what's on one budget is on the other budget, and you, I imagine, clearly outlined what the differences are on the reconciliation, the actual reconciliation itself, so people can actually see what it is. So now it has meaning. So again, that's what we're trying to target. Again, now we have this information and it can be used, if you like, it's ready for the next stage. It can be used by a manager or yourself to actually do something with it, which is where we come to this issue of adding value to your organization. So, I mean, the fact that you have created, all data, especially with reconciliations, if you're trying to reconcile something, you're trying to prepare if you're trying to prepare a statement, a bigger statement, and you reconciling it means that the figure that goes into the bigger statement is, if you like, true and fair. So we have added value to the organization because we have added, if you like, to that final statement. If we were trying to chase up the schools, the fact that you have put this list together, it's either gone into a budget or we've chased up the schools and we've actually made contact with the schools and the schools are happy and they've actually done the order from us, from the council, for the school meals or whatever, it was the end goal, and so the council has made money. So the key point, we just need to be able to evidence what happened in the end with what you were trying to do, or what is the end goal with what you're trying to do, even though it's not quite realized any profits just yet. Yeah, and I'm just sort of confirming. I mean, I put here that if you have to speak to a client, if the end point was reaching a client and the client's been spoken to, and a satisfaction survey can be, when I say survey, just the client being able to sort of say that, oh yes, I received the product or whatever it was and I'm happy. That's sufficient. Okay, I'm going to run through these. So the one that always tends to give students issues is analysis. And with analysis, what I really, again, I feel I'm repeating myself, but it's good, is to get to this point where we have gathering data, evaluating data, and adding value, all at level 1. And doing exactly the same thing at level 2, and doing exactly the same thing at level 3, and doing exactly the same thing at level 4, and at level 5, where we're able to achieve all these answer these different questions at much higher levels as we're growing. And I'll give you examples as we go along on your apprenticeship. So communication, which was the next one, again, level 1, simple back and forth email with your colleague who may have a different opinion. And I've noticed, I discussed with your mentor, with your mentor Linda, and you will be starting to lead your team meetings. So just a recording of that, a voice recording, a video recording. I mean, video recording is very popular now. There's nothing, as long as everyone's quite happy. A recording just lends itself to some sort of difference in opinion when people are expressing their opinions, and just you being aware of other people's ideas and differences, and just sort of being able to say, yes, I think what you're saying is okay, slightly different to what I think, but yeah, we can work with that. That sort of thing is what we're trying to catch, this appreciation of both sides of an argument. This is reporting good level writing skills, good report writing skills. At level 1, we're not expecting you to start writing essays. You just started your apprenticeship. So for whatever task you're doing, or if you have a simple task, you just need to be able to put together something that looks like this. Who is it to? Who is it from? What's the subject? What was it about? What's the introduction? What are the results? And what are the conclusions? So having a little sort of template of what's taking place is enough. And then we can grow this again over your apprenticeship. Again, we've talked about, I've seen some evidence that your mentors are going to start taking you, giving you charge of the team meetings. And so just evidence of recording this, either via PowerPoints or even the recording or a voice recording, whatever it is, that's sufficient. So leadership. Students think this is a big one. No, really, leadership is initiative. So at level 1, just simply suggesting something or willingness to carry out a task before you were asked is leadership. And find something that you did before your manager asked you to do it. It might just be going on to the very next task before you're being asked to do it. You might have to set up a room early, arriving early. To set that up early is leadership. We just need some evidence that you have done it. And if you can get some kind of senior or, mentor sign or to evidence this, that you've done this, that's sufficient. Commitment to the job, you're turning up on time, attending meetings you're invited to, that's level 1. And again, just having evidence of some kind of CPD log or a journal, just the evidence of it. You don't have to write anything in it just yet, but the fact that you actually have put something together shows that you are starting to think about how you will evaluate and improve on your own performance. So this is planning and prioritization. So really what we're starting off with is to say, put a to-do list together. That's it. Just put a to-do list for the day and have some sort of priorities. You can break your list up into priority. You could put P for priority, that sort of thing. And, that's enough. So first of all, starting off with a to-do list and showing that there are a range of tasks that you have to carry out. And within your to-do list, there should be at least a couple of tasks, at least one task where you will have to work with someone else or you will need someone else to give you some assistance. So, again, that's what we're trying to satisfy here. Even if it is as simple as working with them on preparing some element, whether you need some information from them, so you can't quite proceed until you get the information from them, notify that and make a note of that. Who was it that you needed information from? It might be even just someone within the organization that you can send an email to. That email would be enough. That you need information from them in order to pursue some next project. And you're waiting for it. Now, what we want to do is show evidence that, you're sort of prioritizing and you're moving things around. So you must have at least 1 or 2 things on your to-do list that will maybe have a deadline, and then you'll actually have to maybe shift the other things downwards just to make sure you get that thing done. And we just need evidence of that. So even a picture of it, or some kind of, again, if you have a good journal, within your journal you could have a to-do list sections. So some people make to-do lists every day. So really that's where you're going. Now here where it says produce quality and accurate information, we want to be able to produce information that's understood and sufficient. And really, once you've done the analysis section, I think this covers it, at least at level 1, level 2. Because, by you evaluating the information, you are beginning to produce information that is understood and sufficient. Now, technical accounting knowledge here. What are we simply saying? Well, because you guys are, if you like, you're not within audit, that's fine, and you are within processes. I think simply just being able to understand the accounting principles is enough for now. So for example, even variance analysis, because you were talking about working with budgets, even the very process of reconciliation, if you like, satisfy some of the accounting concepts. So the key point is we can work with accounting concepts for now. So when I say accounting concepts, accruals, cost, accruals and cost and prudence. So if we can focus a bit more on satisfying some of the concepts. Now, you might have other things that you can tell me about later on, but in terms of technical accounting, I think if we stick to making sure we are working within the concepts or showing that, and that's really enough, to prove that we are applying technical accounting to our to our process. So you can see where I'm going. The fact that you're making journals, or separating, keeping clearly assets away from expenses in different sections. I think that's where we're really trying to go here, to show that you're actually understanding and applying the knowledge you're using in the classroom. You're gaining in the classroom. So, regulatory requirements. Now, the good thing is you are working in the council, and from time to time you can see that you would need to have been vetted before you can go into certain areas. Definitely, you even being an AAT member is the first line, and that's sufficient for level 1. Going into school, you might need to do some DBS checks. That's some further regulation. So this is enough for now. The fact that you're registered with the AAT will be enough for just sort of highlighting, and you have to sort of say a little about that you understand that being a member of the AAT is sufficient for now to start you on your regulatory requirements of your role. And you might need to pick up some more security clearances as you go along. Again, this is teamwork. So you're already having the team meetings, which is great. So that will start to cover, that will cover this area here. And again, team structure, what you just want to do is, as part of your 6-month rotation, you must be part of a team. So you might have a particular job. You just want to be able to outline clearly who the different people are on this team, and what your role is, and what their roles are. So just being able to outline the roles of everyone on your team, and if you like, as best as you can, how you fit in within the team and what those roles are, what you're doing, what they're doing, is really, and how you're all meeting your objectives, whatever the objectives are of that rotation, is sufficient. And again, an email or team meetings to show that you are understanding and quite happy to accept what your teammates and colleagues are saying about you or saying about your work. Is important. Now, these are systems. Now, again, all we're really saying here is that you can always have improvement within IT. It might just be the fact that all the material is currently paper-bound, paper-based, and you might be thinking it might be better to move everything into a more paperless scenario. It might be the way you're extracting the information, and you're thinking there could be a better way. So I've given you some examples here. These are always natural ones you can always use. It might be communication with the client. Excuse me. It might be communication with the client. You might be writing them letters, and you might be thinking this is taking too long. Maybe it's better to just send them an email or call them. The key point is that you have a process, and you're thinking we could do better in a particular area. We just need to document that and give evidence. Yes, again, it's just understanding what processes you're using and just being able to show, again, you guys are not in audit, but again, it doesn't really matter. You're just showing that you know how your team, the cycle you're in, goes about collecting its information, for example, or how it goes about sharing this information. The key point is, why do we use certain systems? and then we can see how we go with that and find out some good examples. Again, I've already given examples of this. It's really about trying to improve the systems. Okay, great. So so at least let's start off again with this. I will be in touch on Friday. I'm going to speak to you, to give me like 2 minutes just to see how you're going. So those are really the skills I discussed very quickly. Then you also have behaviors, and what I want you to do with behaviors, there's a couple of them: adaptability, adding value. I want you to come up with a few, if you like, basic examples, and then I can on Friday discuss with you and see what you're thinking about these very briefly, what ideas you have, and then we can start to build our portfolio. So what I'm also going to do for you is I would like you to, I'm going to send all of this to you, and I want you to then take this data and create a Dropbox. So I'm just going to go to Dropbox very quickly. All you really literally, they're free to create. I'm just going to go pretty much literally just www.dropbox. I'm sure some of you might already have Dropbox accounts. Open up your Dropbox account, and you are there. So it's just loading. Yeah, and it's really simple. You can just create these files, and you can be able to store all the information that we're interested in. I'm just going to show you what I'm doing right now, because once you're on Dropbox and I'm on Dropbox, I can link the files together, so you can see we can be connected via the file. So as you upload files, I have access to those files, you have access to those files. And I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. So here we are. I've created files for all of you right now. So for example, let's go to Haruna. And we can see here that I've split the skills and split the files into skills and behavior. And so for example, within skills, I have all the different skills that we're interested in, and that's analysis. And then we have the different levels. And in each of these, you'll put your evidences in each of these folders. Again, once you're on Dropbox, we can share these files, and we can start to populate our files and our folders. Cool, great stuff. So you get an email from me, and with all these documents, within these documents, and we will speak. I'll speak to you via web on Friday, probably over your lunch break, literally 15 minutes, just to see how we're going. Okay, great stuff. Thank you very much, and have a good week.